With the Buffalo Bills finally making the playoffs back in 2018, the Seattle Mariners currently have the longest present-day postseason drought among all sports leagues in the United States. It has currently been 17 seasons since the Mariners last made the postseason in 2001. Crazy enough, the Mariners actually had the best record in not only all of baseball, but the entire history of baseball. That season, they finished with 116 wins and made it to the ALCS before losing to the New York Yankees. Despite missing out on the playoffs for the last 17 seasons, it's not like they have had a shortage on talent. They've had some of baseball's brightest stars in Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro Suzuki, and Felix Hernandez all suit up for the team during this time, but yet they have nothing to show for it. So how exactly have the Mariners consistently missed the playoffs? In today's video, we'll be attempting to take a closer look at why the Mariners haven't made the postseason. The first reason has to be the team's decision making. Whether it's coaching decisions, personnel hires, or roster moves, the Mariners have just come up lackluster every year. The leaders up top haven't been the greatest, and the decisions that the front office makes in free agency or in trades have shown that. Of course, we know that the Mariners have fielded rosters that included Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, Felix Hernandez, James Paxton, Jamie Moyer, Edgar Martinez, Robinson Cano, and many more through this time frame. All of these players were either amazing in their prime or gave the Mariners some good seasons on their own. With the amount of top-heavy talent, you might think that they would have a couple playoff appearances and wins to their name, but there has been nothing since that 2001 season. Why this may be is the rest of the talent that was on the rosters. Thanks to GMs Bill Bavasi and Jack Zarenzik, the Mariners have consistently missed on free agent signings in the past 16 seasons. Rick Alrila, Miguel Batista, Richie Sexson, Sean Figgins, Scott Spezio, and Carlos Silva headline a list of players that Seattle had decided to offer multi-year contracts to since 2001, but never lived up to those contracts. Figgins, who was signed in 2009, went downhill once he arrived in Seattle, where he batted .259, .188, and .181 before he was designated for assignment in 2012. Spezio signed a 3-year contract but only lasted one season in Seattle, where he batted a little over .200. Sexson, who was signed in 2004 to a 4-year, $50 million contract, actually had 2 good seasons for the M's, but led the league in strikeouts in 2005 and his play fell off midway through his contract. Carlos Silva went 5-18 in his Mariners career and had an ERA of 5.18. They have consistently missed on their big name player signings since 2001, but whatever the case may be, they just haven't been able to put enough good products on the field at a time. Trading has been a subject for them that hasn't worked out either. They traded for Jeff Cirillo in 2001, and he went down from batting .314 to a combined .234 in his next 2 seasons. They traded away Asdrubal Cabrera and Shin-Soo Choo away to Cleveland, where they later became All-Stars for the Indians. In 2008, the team sent Adam Jones, Chris Tillman, and 3 other prospects in exchange for Eric Bedard. Adam Jones and Chris Tillman would both go on to become All-Stars, and Bedard never pitched more than 129 innings in a season in his 3 years there. The Mariners traded away Rafael Soriano away to Atlanta for Horacio Ramirez, who in his only season in Seattle posted an ERA of 7.16 as a closer. The Mariners were able to acquire Cliff Lee in 2010, but later traded him away less than halfway into the season. In many seasons since 2001, they have also failed to upgrade their teams at the trade deadline when help could have been used. And despite their success this past season, they traded away Gene Segura, James Paxton, Robinson Cano, and Nelson Cruz this offseason and will probably ship off other guys during the season. Time and time again, the Mariners have missed on their trade decisions or lack of, and it's really costed them. Another reason why the Mariners continually miss out on the playoffs is because of their farm system. Missing out on the playoffs for 17 straight years means that you have the top 20 selection in almost every draft, and you'll be selecting in top 5 in most of those years, just like the Mariners did. Compared to other teams, the farm system has really been mishandled. They have failed to draft and develop successful top prospects, or they have traded away their most promising ones, who went on to blossom elsewhere. Still, the Mariners have had multiple top 10 selections. Ever heard of Jeff Clement, Dustin Ackley, Danny Holtzen, Alex Jackson, Philippe Aument, Matt Mangini, Josh Fields, Nick Franklin, Stephen Barron, DJ Peterson? All of these guys have one thing in common. They were all first-round selections for the Mariners since 2001, and all didn't pan out for Seattle either. I didn't list every single first-round selection because some of them panned out to be decent players, such as Mike Zunino and Brandon Morrow, but if you compare the hits to the misses that Seattle have made in the draft, it's astonishing. With the exception of Adam Jones, no Mariners player drafted since 2001 has made it to an All-Star game, and unfortunately, Adam Jones didn't get to rep the city of Seattle as an All-Star either. Their farm system continues to rank in the bottom 10 almost every single season, and it's been hard for them to create a star. They not only haven't been able to hit on draft picks, but they also don't have the proper youth to develop their players either. Their AAA team, the Rainiers, have struggled to make the postseason and produce successful seasons themselves. Since 2001, they've only made the playoffs 3 times. Now maybe some of you don't value winning in the minors, but that still doesn't cover the fact that they have struggled to develop any star players. Of course, they've seen a guy like Kyle Seager develop nicely, but that name is just basically a needle in the haystack. It is hard to find talent with every draft no matter the sport, but over a 17-year period to continuously miss on draft picks and ship off your good young talent seems almost harder. Because of these bad selections, they've missed out on top tier MLB talent year in and year out. Last but not least, the Mariners have just simply been unlucky. The big reason why the Mariners haven't made the playoffs is just that everyone has been better than them and gotten luckier than them. Now before you guys applaud me on my expert analysis, let's look at this. The last 17 seasons haven't been all losing seasons for the Mariners. Out of those 17 seasons, the Mariners have finished the season with a winning record in 7 of those, coming in 2002, 2003, 2007, 2009, 2014, 2016, and 2018. They have won more than 86 games in 5 of those 7 seasons as well. The Orioles, Reds, Pirates, Royals, Marlins, Mets, and Padres all have less winning seasons in that same time frame, but yet they have made the postseason and some have even made some noise. The fact that the Mariners have missed the playoffs have been down to a few games in many of those seasons. In 2002, they missed out on the wild card by 6 games to the Angels. In 2003, they finished 3 games behind Oakland for the AL West title. In 2007, they finished 6 games behind the Yankees for the wild card. In 2014, they finished behind the Athletics by just 1 game. In 2016, they finished behind the Orioles by 3 games for the second wildcard spot. And in 2018, they finished behind the Athletics by 8 games, but were in good contention to qualify for the wildcard after they led in the standings for the majority of the season. I didn't mention 2009 because they finished 10 games behind, but most of these misses were by just a few games, and had they won a few more series in the season, they could have easily made it to the postseason. They have come so close to making it to the playoffs multiple times throughout their stretch, and while in some years the team has just been flat out awful, in most seasons they've been able to field a competitive team. But whatever the case may be, they just couldn't get enough wins to make it into the postseason. At the end of the day, a lot has happened for the Mariners to be able to miss the playoffs after all of these years. Bad decisions and bad breaks are always at the root for every team's shortcomings, and that includes the Mariners. But things may be looking up for the team. With their recent rebuilding, they've been able to acquire some young players with good potential. Over the offseason, they got JP Crawford, Justice Sheffield, and Jarrett Kelenic, and they still may be able to acquire a few more prospects and other trades in the future. They are likely to be selecting in decent slots in future drafts, so their opportunity to find a good prospect is in their hands. They have essentially decided to rebuild from scratch, and maybe this will be the last rebuilding phase for a long time. But as always, only time will tell. This has been why the Mariners can't make the playoffs. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and as always, I will see you guys next time.